The first thing you need to know about alien spaceports is this. The coffee is an insult. Not the weak, slightly burnt insult you'd get from a gas station back home. No, this was the kind of watery gray sludge that made you question whether the barista had simply waved the beans over a cup of hot water and called it a day. I stirred it anyway, because ritual is ritual. Around me, the Port Central Cafe buzzed with half a dozen species, most of them pretending not to stare. That was normal. Humans were still novelties in this sector, like an exotic pet that somehow learned to walk upright. Polite smiles, wide eyes, whispers, they thought we couldn't hear. I'd long stopped caring. So I sat there, flight jacket unzipped, chewing on a cheeseburger that dripped grease onto the tray, and tried to enjoy my break from running cargo between planets that didn't want my presence but did want my goods. That's when I saw him. Small, pale, and far too clean for a place like this. His clothes marked him as someone important, too finely woven, too carefully layered. But his steps weren't confident. They were hesitant, scared. His big black eyes flicked from shadow to shadow as if expecting claws to snatch him. A child. He paused in the doorway, sniffed the air, and spotted my tray. My half-eaten burger. The soda fizzing quietly beside it. His throat worked like he was swallowing stones. I sighed, set down my drink, and waved him over. Hey, kid. You hungry? The cafe froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. A dozen alien eyes locked on me in horrified disbelief. The boy shuffled forward. He didn't answer, didn't speak, just kept staring at the food like a predator locked on prey. I slid the burger across the table and nudged the soda beside it. Knock yourself out. Though fair warning, Earth food comes with side effects. Mostly addiction. He pounced. Not graceful, not dignified, just pure desperation. Small hands gripped the burger like it might vanish if he let go. He bit, chewed, and closed his eyes as if the greasy mess was divine nectar. A ripple of gasps spread through the cafe. Chairs scraped back. Someone dropped a tray. I leaned back, watching him devour the thing, and raised an eyebrow at the crowd. What? Never seen a kid eat before. The silence was thick. Nervous. Someone whispered a word I didn't catch. The boy grabbed the soda next, tried to mimic how I drank, ended up spilling half of it down his front. He laughed softly at himself. I couldn't help chuckling too. Careful. That's sugar water. Too much and you'll be bouncing off walls for hours. The crowd flinched at my tone. Not at what I said, just that I said it. The kid's laughter died when he noticed everyone staring. His small shoulders tensed. He looked at me, fear suddenly sharper in his eyes. I gave him what I hoped was a reassuring smile. Ignore them. They're just jealous. That earned me a murmur of shocked outrage from a nearby table. All right, so apparently sharing lunch was a scandal here. Big deal. Add it to the list of things I didn't understand about alien etiquette. When the kid finally slowed down, half the burger gone, he looked up at me. His voice was soft, melodic, but every syllable carried weight. Why? Why what? Why give me? He gestured at the food. Because you looked hungry. I shrugged. Where I'm from, you feed kids before you feed yourself. Doesn't matter who they are. The boy blinked, like the concept was brand new information. Then he smiled. Tentative but real. Something shifted in the air. The onlookers began whispering frantically. I caught fragments. He fed him. The vow. Impossible. Great. Apparently, I just tripped over some sacred ritual without knowing it. Again. I leaned forward and lowered my voice. Kid, I'm guessing there's some cultural thing happening here I don't get. You want to clue me in before the mob has a panic attack. But he just kept smiling at me, burger crumbs stuck to his lips, and shook his head as if he'd been given a treasure. A group of older aliens shuffled out in a hurry, glancing back at us with horrified reverence. Others avoided my gaze, like I'd just sprouted fangs. I finished the rest of my soda slowly, pretending not to notice. This wasn't my first time being the wrong kind of memorable. Usually it ended with me getting chased off station before the ink on the docking fee dried. But this time the fear in their eyes wasn't directed at me. It was directed at the kid. Or maybe at what the kid eating my burger meant. I stood, slinging my jacket over my shoulder. Come on, kid. Let's find someone who knows where you're supposed to be. He grabbed my hand without hesitation. Small, warm fingers clutching mine with absolute trust. That drew another collective gasp from the cafe. Someone muttered something that sounded like a prayer. I muttered something less polite. We walked out together, the kid clinging to my side, the crowd parting around us like I carried a live bomb. Which, for all I knew, I had just done. By the time we reached the station's main corridor, 3 cloaked figures were waiting. Guards, by the look of them. Their armor gleamed with ceremonial etchings, weapons holstered but very visible. One stepped forward, voice tight with formality. Human. You have taken an action you cannot reverse. I raised an eyebrow. Pretty sure all I did was share lunch. The guard's eyes flicked to the boy's sticky fingers clutching mine. He bowed low. You have bound yourself to him. To refuse now would dishonor your entire species. The kid squeezed my hand tighter. And just like that, my nice, quiet Tuesday turned into something far more complicated. I forced a smile, the kind humans use when we're seconds away from punching someone. Well, guess I'll need a refill on coffee after all. 2 days. That's all it took for the universe to lose its collective mind. I dropped the kid off with his people the same day, figuring that was the end of it. No thank you gift, no polite explanation, just a wall of armored guards hustling him away while glaring at me like I'd committed interstellar treason with a side of ketchup. Fine. I'd done my good deed, and I was more than ready to leave this sector behind. I wasn't expecting an armada. When I woke, my ship's sensors screamed warnings. Red lights pulsed across the cabin, and the view outside my cockpit was nothing but hull plating, endless and silver, filling the stars like a steel horizon. Thousands of ships, rows upon rows, hanging silent. And every single one of them was pointed at me. Great, I muttered, rubbing my eyes. Coffee first, galactic intimidation second. Is that too much to ask? The comm crackled. A voice, deep and ceremonial, boomed through the cabin. Pilot of Earth. Remain where you are. I squinted at the display. Their flagship loomed ahead like a floating cathedral bristling with weapons. Smaller escorts fanned out, making sure I had exactly 0 exit options. So I did the only logical thing. I sipped stale coffee from yesterday's pot and keyed the comm morning. Not sure what you all want, but if you're here about unpaid parking tickets, I swear I'm innocent. Silence. Then, unbelievably, every ship rotated in perfect formation. Their cannons shifted upward, weapons angled away. A low hum reverberated through space as if the entire armada exhaled at once. Then, impossibly, they saluted me. Thousands of ships, moving in precise synchronization. Wings tilted, lights flared, signals pulsed in unison. My jaw dropped. You've got to be kidding me. A transport detached from the flagship and glided toward me. Docking clamps engaged without asking permission. My ship rattled as they latched on. I had 2 options, refuse or play along. Refusing sounded like the fast track to becoming stardust, so I plastered on my best, polite human smile and waited for the inevitable. The airlock hissed. 3 figures stepped aboard, dressed in flowing ceremonial robes that shimmered with shifting colors. Their faces were long and severe, eyes sharp enough to cut steel. The tallest one bowed. Protector of the air. We greet you in reverence. I blinked. Protector of... No, hold on. I think you've got the wrong human. The only thing I protect is my wallet, and even that's negotiable. The second envoy raised a trembling hand. You shared sustenance with the heir of House HFY. By doing so, you invoked the covenant of flesh. It is binding. Eternal. Binding. I repeated. Buddy, I bought the kid lunch. A burger. That doesn't sound eternal. The third envoy, older than the rest, lowered his head as if confessing a crime. To his people, feeding a child is a vow stronger than blood. You offered nourishment. You accepted responsibility. To refuse now is to insult not only his house, but every power that recognizes the covenant. I pinched the bridge of my nose. So let me get this straight. I gave a hungry kid a sandwich. Now you're all saluting me with a fleet the size of New Jersey. Precisely, the elder said gravely. I laughed. It came out half hysterical. You know, back home we have this thing called misunderstanding. Usually, it ends with someone apologizing. You people skipped right to worship. Their expressions didn't change. All right. Time to change tactics. I set my coffee down, leaned forward, and kept my tone soft, friendly, but with just enough edge. Let's say I play along. Protector of the air, covenant of flesh, all of it. What exactly does that make me responsible for? The envoy didn't hesitate. His survival. His claim to the throne. And by extension, the balance of power in this quadrant of the galaxy. I whistled low. That's one hell of a lunch bill. The elder studied me carefully. We expected reluctance. But not calm. Calm. I smiled thinly. Where I come from, we've got a saying, don't make promises on an empty stomach. I had half a burger left. Figure the kid needed it more than me. Apparently, you folks think that's the same thing as signing a treaty. That's not calm. That's me trying not to laugh at how insane this is. The tallest envoy stiffened. You mock what binds empires. No, I corrected. I mock everything. It's how humans cope. You should be grateful. You don't want to see us when we stop joking. That shut them up. For a long moment, only the hum of my ship filled the air. Then the elder inclined his head slowly. Perhaps the rumors are true. Humans hide knives behind smiles. I smiled wider. Now you're catching on. The three exchanged uneasy glances. Behind them, the calm display still showed the endless fleet, all waiting, silent, saluting. Finally, the elder spoke. You must attend the Court of Houses. They will demand your recognition. Court, huh? I leaned back. Not exactly on my itinerary, but fine. Let's say I show up. What happens if I decline this whole protector thing? The envoy's voice dropped, heavy as stone. War. Every faction that fears the House HFY will strike. And they will not strike you alone. They will strike all humans. That sobered me. I've been trying to play this off as a cosmic joke, but the implications were clear now. This wasn't just about me or one kid. If I screwed this up, humanity could end up dragged into a galactic civil war. I forced a pleasant tone. Well, that doesn't sound fun. Guess I'll be attending your little court, then. Hope they've got better coffee. The envoy gave a short, awkward bow. Prepare yourself, Protector. The galaxy watches. They filed out. The airlock sealed behind them, leaving me alone in my cockpit with the faint echo of their words. Protector. Covenant. Eternal responsibility. I rubbed my temples, staring at the endless fleet outside. 2 days ago, I'd bought a lost kid lunch. Now, an entire armada saluted me like I was their messiah. I let out a long breath and muttered, "All this because of a burger. Universe, you've officially lost your damn mind." The Court of Houses wasn't a building. It was an entire station, half a moon carved hollow, wrapped in glass and steel, orbiting a star that pulsed red like a warning light. From a distance, it looked regal. Up close, it looked hungry. The envoys hadn't given me much choice. My ship was escorted the whole way, boxed in by cruisers that could erase me with a sneeze. The galaxy apparently didn't trust humans to navigate their own trouble without supervision. Fine. I was used to babysitters. Inside, the docking bay gleamed like a cathedral. Hundreds of species filled the balconies, all eyes on me. My boots echoed as I walked the polished floor, pretending not to notice the whispers. That's him. Protector of the air. He looks so ordinary. If I had a credit for every time aliens called humans ordinary, I could have retired twice by now. At the far end of the chamber stood a throne, taller than a house, sculpted from black metal that shimmered like oil. Sitting cross-legged on the steps below, it was the kid. My kid now, apparently. He grinned when he saw me, soda cup still in hand. Great. They hadn't even bothered to clean him up. Pilot of Earth, a voice thundered. An elder rose from the crowd, robed in gold, his crest adorned with gems that probably cost more than my ship. You stand before the houses as bearer of the covenant. Do you acknowledge your duty? I tilted my head, studying him. Depends. You planning to define that duty in plain language, or are we sticking with dramatic riddles? Ripples of shock passed through the hall. The elder's face twitched. You mock tradition. I mock everyone equally. It's called fairness. A chuckle escaped the boy on the steps. Dozens of nobles turned, horrified that he dared laugh. He only sipped his soda louder. I took the opening. Look, let's cut through the ceremony. 2 days ago, I fed a lost kid. I didn't realize that came with a lifelong job description. But here we are. So before you pile any more obligations on me, maybe tell me who exactly I'm protecting. The elder hesitated. Whispers rose like a storm. Finally he spoke. The child is Kale of House Kethayar. Soul blood heir. Future sovereign of the Dominion. The words hit like thunder. Even I knew that name. Kethayar wasn't just a ruling family, they were conquerors, feared warlords who'd bent half the sector under their banners. Entire fleets had vanished fighting them. And apparently, their future ruler was currently sucking soda through a straw while waving at me. I forced my expression into something between polite curiosity and mild amusement. So, the most powerful dynasty in this part of the galaxy. And now you're saying I'm his... what, guardian? Regent? Lunch buddy-in-chief? Protector, the elder corrected. Your oath supersedes bloodlines. Even his own house cannot oppose you. That earned another wave of gasps. Several nobles looked ready to faint. Others glared daggers. I smiled thinly. Well, that explains the Armada. Kale stood, brushing crumbs from his robe, and walked down to me. His small hand slid into mine like we'd rehearsed it. The hall erupted in shouts. Some cried out in awe, others in fury. The elder slammed his staff against the floor. Silence. The covenant is sealed. No voice may challenge it. I leaned down to Kale, keeping my voice low. Kid, you realize I'm in way over my head here? He smirked. You gave me food. That makes you stronger than all of them. I wasn't sure if that was cultural logic or childish delusion. Either way, it made me chuckle. I straightened, facing the nobles. All right. You want me as protector? Fine. But here's the thing, humans don't do puppet duty. If I'm responsible for this kid, I'll do it my way. That means no hidden daggers, no quiet assassinations, no convenient accidents. Anyone tries, they answer to me. The room went dead silent. I'd spoken politely, calmly, but the way their eyes widened, you'd think I declared war, which, in a way, I had. A noble sneered from the balcony. Empty threats. One human cannot face the houses. I smiled. Back home, we have another saying, don't mistake a polite smile for weakness. We're apex predators who learned table manners. Push us, and you'll see what's under the napkin. Kale squeezed my hand tighter. The nobles looked away. The elder bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect, or maybe fear. The protector speaks. The houses will listen. And just like that, the audience ended. Guards ushered me away before anyone had the courage to test my claim. Later, in the guest chambers they'd assigned me, I paced while Kale lounged on the bed, sipping yet another soda. You enjoying this? I asked. He nodded happily. They fear you. Yeah, I noticed. Problem is, fear cuts both ways. They'll test me eventually. Try to find out if the human really has teeth. Do you? He asked simply. I stopped pacing. For a moment, I let the mask slip. My voice dropped into something colder. Kid, humans don't just have teeth. We build traps. We smile while setting them. And by the time anyone notices, it's already too late. He studied me with those dark, knowing eyes. Then he grinned. Good. Then they chose right. The next morning, the galaxy found out. News streams blazed across systems. Human pilot binds heir through covenant ritual. On some worlds, they laughed. On others, they panicked. Rival factions whispered of preemptive strikes. Opportunists plotted. Merchants speculated whether Earth was behind it all, pulling strings to seize power through subtle ritual. And me? I just sat in my chamber, sipping coffee that was still too weak, watching chaos unfold. 2 days, I muttered. 2 damn days. All this over a burger. Kale glanced up from his soda. What's a burger? I chuckled darkly. Apparently, kid, it's the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. The court tried to keep things quiet, but nothing in this galaxy stayed secret for long. By the 3rd day, fleets were on the move. Not HFY ships, those already filled the stars. These were rivals. Opportunists. Predators who smelled weakness in tradition and decided to test how much weight a human's burger oath really carried. My escort ship pulled alongside the HFY flagship. From the viewport, I could see the newcomers. Dozens of war fleets shimmering into position, their banners glowing like neon threats against the void. Protector, the envoy murmured from behind me, voice taut. They demand the covenant be annulled. They say no human may bind the air. I didn't turn. And if I say no, they will strike. Figures. The calm lit up with incoming hails. One after another, their leaders barked demands. Some mocked, some threatened, some offered bribes. I listened to none of it. Kale sat on the armrest beside me, sipping his endless soda like this was a holiday. They don't believe you, he said simply. I smirked. Most people don't, until they really should. The flagship commander approached nervously. Protector, their fleets outnumber even ours. If war erupts. I raised a hand, cutting him off. Relax. Humanity has a saying, numbers don't matter when you're playing chess. They matter even less when you flip the board. The aliens didn't get the metaphor. That was fine. The uncertainty worked better than clarity. I keyed the comm open, projecting to every ship in the system. Attention. Houses. Let's clear the air. You think I'm some clueless human who stumbled into your rituals. Maybe you're right. But here's what you don't understand. Humans don't stumble. We adapt. We watch. We learn faster than you can calculate. And once we understand the game, I let the silence stretch, then smiled coldly. We changed the rules. A wave of indignant shouts erupted across the channels. Perfect. One rival warlord snarled, "You dare claim authority over our houses? You are nothing." I chuckled softly, the kind of laugh that made people lean back without knowing why. Nothing? Back on Earth, we came late to the stars. Every species said we were weak. But weakness is camouflage. You see smiles, jokes, clumsy mistakes. You don't see the calculus behind them. You don't see the teeth until they're in your throat. The silence that followed was thicker than armor. I dropped the smile. My voice sharpened. You want to test me? Fire. Show the galaxy how brave you are against one pilot, one ship. I promise you this. The moment you do, humanity stops being a curiosity. We stop being ordinary. We start being predators. And predators don't forgive. Kale grinned like Christmas had come early. The calm filled with uneasy murmurs. A few warlords blustered, but none fired. That was the trick. Not threats, but certainty. I wasn't bluffing, and they could feel it. Then, right on cue, space tore open. Human warships slid out of hyperspace, black-hulled and silent, appearing in perfect formation behind me. Not hundreds, thousands. Earth's fleets, all cloaked until now, revealing themselves like sharks surfacing. Gasps rang across the alien channels. I leaned back in the chair, folding my hands casually. You thought I was alone? That's the other thing you never understood. Humans don't wander into the unknown without backup. We don't walk into a fight without a plan. Did you really think a pilot like me just happened to feed the air of Keth-AR by accident? Kale looked up at me, surprised. You mean, it wasn't chance? I gave him a wink. Kid, nothing worth winning is left to chance. The aliens erupted in chaos. Accusations. Fear. Desperation. I let them rant for a full minute before I cut across, calm and final. Here's how this plays out. Kale lives. He rules when it's his time. I stand by him. Any faction that touches him, touches humanity. And if you think we're dangerous now, imagine what happens when you push us too far. The rival fleets hesitated. One by one, their ships pulled back, engines flaring as they broke formation. No one wanted to be the first to test the human threat. And then, the inevitable. The Keth-AR Armada shifted. Their ships angled in flawless precision. Light pulsed across their hulls, cascading through the formation in a ripple of synchronized fire. Not weapons. Honor lights. A salute. But this time, it wasn't just them. One by one, even the rival fleets followed suit. Not loyalty. Not respect. Fear. Cold, calculated fear. Tens of thousands of ships saluted me. Kale whispered, awed, "They all bow." I kept my eyes on the viewport, voice dry. Yeah. Salute today. Plot tomorrow. That's how politics works. The envoy behind me fell to one knee, trembling. Protector, what are you? I turned, meeting his eyes with a smile that never reached mine. Human. Simple. Direct. Terrifying. Later, alone in my quarters, I finally let the mask slip. My hands trembled faintly as the adrenaline bled away. I poured myself a drink, stared at the amber liquid, and muttered to no one in particular. All this over lunch. Next time, I'm ordering fries. Kale peeked in from the doorway, still clutching that ridiculous soda. What are fries? I chuckled darkly. Kid, the galaxy's not ready for fries.